This is the Klarus E2, a compact survival flashlight about the size of an 18650 battery. It can output up to 1600 lumens and remarkably claims it can illuminate for up to 7 days. Can it really live up to its specs? Let's find out. Okay, let's see what we get in the package here. And it's a nicely designed package, meant to be hung. So if you see this in a retail establishment, it'll probably be hanging on the wall or a display rack. So let's take a look at what you get inside. So we have the unit itself, which looks quite nice. And also included is a carrying bag. And inside we have a micro USB charging cable and a lanyard. So this pouch to carry all the other stuff. But this is intended to be an EDC light, so it has a nice deep clip. And let's take a look at how this thing performs. The unit's controls are in its tail, with a rubberized clicky button that turns the unit on and off. The main button can be half depressed for momentary on. Next to the rubber clicky is a paddle button which cycles the unit's brightness modes. The unit does have brightness memory, so the main clicky will turn on to the last setting used. In addition, the settings paddle also functions as a momentary on button, but only turning the unit on at its lowest power setting, its moonlight or 8 lumen mode, which is useful if you just quickly want to illuminate something up close and don't want to run the risk of blinding yourself by being on the brightest setting on your main controls. The unit also has an SOS beacon mode that's activated by turning on the unit with the main click switch and then depressing the selector switch for 5 seconds. While perhaps a little complicated, I find this preferable to accidentally going to SOS mode when selecting through the various brightness settings. In the manual, it explains the key combinations required to change the flashlight into a tactical light, where the selector switch no longer turns on the lowest power setting, but instead turns on a very bright strobe light. When turned on, a small colored LED briefly shows the current battery level. When plugged into a USB-C, the colored LED also indicates the battery's level of charge. Green for fully charged, yellow and orange for partially charged, and red for low charge. The battery may be removed by unscrewing the tail cap. Inside we find a proprietary Klarus 18650 battery, which on the surface may look somewhat like a regular 18650 battery, but it's a little bit longer. Closer examination reveals that the normally positive side of the cell has both positive and negative contacts, separated by a black plastic ring. This means the unit will not function with a normal 18650 battery, and I've tried. I have no idea why Klarus chose to use this proprietary, unusual battery, perhaps having to do with protected charging or some electronic reason. If you have an idea, please post it in the comments. I'm curious. Checking out the illumination pattern from 10 feet away, there is a definite generous hotspot gradually going into the spill. At its 1600 lumen turbo mode, the unit was able to easily illuminate the top of a telephone pole 120 feet away. The unit has a water resistance rating of IPX8, which means that it can survive complete immersion in excess of 6 feet of water. I unfortunately do not have a swimming pool 6 feet or otherwise in my backyard, so I submerged the unit in a pitcher of water for an hour. Alright, it's been over an hour, and we're gonna see how this thing survived. Okay, still functions well. Changes. Okay, and we're going to see if there's any water that got in. Okay, battery compartment. Nope, that's dry. Let me just turn this off, and I'm going to uncap the battery. Sorry, that wasn't the battery compartment. This was the charging compartment, and we're going to take a look. Huh, no water there? No water on the battery? So yeah, it passed the waterproof test. For an impact resistance test, I dropped the unit from a 6-foot height onto dirt and rocks twice. Still works. Okay, we're going to test to see if this really does have a 7-day runtime. I've fully charged this flashlight, and I'm going to turn it on at its lowest power setting, and I'm going to leave it on for the next 7 days. And we're going to check with it on it every day to see if it's still running. So this is day 1. Okay, it's a little after 9:55 p.m. and I came down to my studio and found that the flashlight is not on anymore and it will not turn on. So it has died after a little more than 5 days, not quite 6 days in overall runtime. So not quite the 7 days that the manufacturer had claimed, at least were able to achieve on their tests. So what do I think of the Klarus E2? First of all, I'd like to thank Klarus for sending this E2 for me to review. I appreciate that. But more importantly, I want to thank them for actually asking my opinion and feedback after testing this particular product. Because, you know, I didn't mince words. I told them what I'm telling you right now, and that is, I think it's a bit of a mistake for them to do a proprietary 18650 battery. Now, I can understand that they wanted to go with their proprietary battery because it allowed them to make the unit much thinner, so it's much more of an EDC flashlight. And perhaps there are more fundamental electronic reasons why they chose to do their a proprietary 18650 battery, but it's a bit of, well, let me be honest. There's a lot of folks that I've talked to who said this is a hard no. This is going to be a hard pass for them because they don't want to have to use Klarus's batteries. They have a lot of 18650 batteries that they already have, including myself. I have my own stockpile of them because, you know, SHTF, and also because I live in California where there are earthquakes. So I have my own stash of 18650 batteries just in case. So the fact that I cannot use any of those batteries in this is kind of a big problem. Now, for those of you, for perhaps even the majority of you, the fact that you can recharge these quite easily by just plugging this into a micro USB port, it's not a big deal because, you know, it's just as if this was a built-in battery. So maybe that's not a big deal for many of you out there. That could be a moot point. Overall, I found this to be a very well-made EDC flashlight, just because it performs very well. It's very bright. It's super bright. It's relatively light, and it's very compact for its class. I don't have any other EDC that will put out a beam that is as bright as 1600 lumens, so that's crazy bright. And the other flashlights that I have that are in that sort of brightness class are way bigger than this. So they've done a good job. So if this is something that you're interested in, and if the 18650 compatibility is not an issue for you, I highly recommend picking one of these up. And I'll include a link in Amazon in the description below so you can pick it up. And please use that link because it helps out this channel. And I hope you enjoyed watching this, and if you did, please hit the thumbs up button because it encourages me to make more videos like this. Well, thanks again for watching. Moondog out.